It can only be attributable to human error.
You're entering parallel.
He meddled in things that should be built. He meddled in things. He meddled in things.
Where will we go next? It's a phantom from another time.
No one but the mother.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
That is one big pile of shit.
Yo, this is Cryptid Campfire. Welcome to our very first episode, ladies and gentlemen.
I would just like to take credit for the name, though.
This is Jasmine with...
Hello, I'm Jasmine with. I came up with the name Cryptid Campfire.
And Alex.
Hey, this is Alex. Jasmine came up with the name, and I second approved the name.
And in case you didn't catch it, I'm Eli Watson.
Hey, Eli.
And this is my podcast. Just kidding.
You mean our podcast?
Yes. Okay, so today, guys, for our very first episode, we're going to be talking about plesiosaurs. And if you don't know what that is, it's...
What those be?
What those are
Can,
being.
like, someone take over for me.
Yeah,
at
so
this
today
point.
we're going to be talking about plesiosaurs, but mostly lake monsters. So I'm just going to list off a few so you kind of know what we're talking about. But Loch Ness Monster, Ogopogo, Champ, any kind of large aquatic dinosaur that lives in a lake, ocean, or loch, we'll be talking about today. We've done a little bit of research on all of it. We're kind of be going over a few at a time and just kind of filling you in on what are the lesser known cryptids when it comes to giant lake monsters. I think the first one that we want to start with is...
We're starting with the biggie.
The biggie?
With Nessie.
Yeah, the biggest one of all.
Yeah.
Most famous one.
Loch Ness. The Loch Ness Monster, I'm sure everyone's heard of it. Loch Ness is a loch in Scotland.
What exactly is a
And a
loch?
loch is like an inlet. It lets out to the sea, but it's like a lake.
It's spelled with an H, not a K, so it's not like what you do to keep your car safe. It's not a lock.
Yeah.
Or a bike.
Right. So, I guess the first ever sighting of the Loch Ness Monster, I guess we'll just go all the way there. The first...
Set up some history.
Yeah, because there's some debate as to when the Loch Ness Monster was first seen. Some say it was as early as the 5th century AD. Other people say it wasn't until the 1900s. I'm in favor of the theory of the 1900s because I don't think anything... We'll get into it, but I don't think it's...
Whatever time cameras started existing is when the Loch Ness Monster was finally seen.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, we have the first one by Alex Campbell. He was a water bailiff, and it was on May 2nd, 1933. Fun fact, that's when my favorite movie, King Kong, was released. Not that day, but that year. So I just
Also,
kinda,
what's a water bailiff? Is that like he patrols the water
he
and like
lifts the water?
He arrested for the
bailiffs.
sheriff? Or he now says presiding in court.
Yeah,
is
that's
the
what
water.
I was going for.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So he was on the road with his wife at night in a motor vehicle when they saw a quote unquote dinosaur run across the road with an animal in its mouth. Yes, it wasn't in the water, it was on land.
What?
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
So it's a
But
Loch Ness road monster?
Probably pretty big. There's a drawing of it online. It looks pretty large, but there's really nothing to scale.
Really?
Yeah, it's got a long neck.
And it was out of the water.
At night.
Scampering
But
around?
we're claiming it's the same thing that's been seen in the water?
It shows up on the Wikipedia page.
All right.
Did it have the little flippers?
Does it? Because
It does have the flippers, actually.
Yeah, so it was moving. It was hauling ass.
Right. It's kind of like in Scooby-Doo, where they go to Loch Ness and they find the Loch Ness Monster scamping around on land.
I missed that episode.
You did. It was a whole movie. You missed the whole movie.
That movie.
Is it?
I only remember the one about aliens and witches.
Ooh. We're the Hex Girls.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
With Tim Curry.
There's a warlock in
as
that.
basically Stephen King.
What?
There's a male witch in that movie, right?
Isn't there... That's called a wizard.
A warlock.
A warlock. I
Wizard
thought.
is more like
Either
Merlin.
way, I had a nightmare that this cartoon warlock was trying to kill me outside of my home.
1934.
Okay.
The most famous surgeon's photograph came out. The one with it in the lake, in the loch. Sorry, in the loch. Now proven to be a hoax. Confirmed to be a hoax.
So the most famous photograph is indeed fake?
It's 100% fake. I
Interesting.
didn't go into it too much about how it's fake, but there's extensive articles about that.
Okay. Wow.
And episode's over.
My dreams have been crushed.
Right. So, but I guess at this point we'll go back to the very first sighting.
Okay.
It was recorded in the Life of Saint Columba by Adamnan.
A dum-num?
And it's 565 AD. But the events that he was writing about occurred a century before. So, Irish monk Saint Columba was staying in the land of the Picts,
Okay.
like Picts, when
Sure.
he noticed the local residents were burying a man by the river Ness. So it's not technically in the loch, but it's in the river.
They were what?
So River Nest
Burying a
monster?
person.
Oh, burying. I thought you said bearing, and I was like, what does that mean?
No, burying a person, which doesn't sound
Alive
sanitary.
or dead?
He was dead.
Okay.
Just right
apparent-
in their open water source. They were just like,
Right,
let's put his dead body.
Yeah, just put the dead body right there. So supposedly, what had happened was, okay, the dude you were burying. Jazz, you're just making me. Okay, the dude was swimming, and like out in the river, I guess.
With or without floaties?
I'm assuming without floaties.
They were made out, they were like old school like haggis floaties.
Yeah. When he got attacked by a water beast, which dragged him underwater, and they were freaking out, so they got a boat out to him. By the time they got there, homie was dead.
Damn.
So, St. Columba was like, I know how to solve this problem. And he sends one of his followers, I guess he has followers just like Jesus or something.
Disciples.
And
Yeah.
he's like, yo, go swim across the river. And they're just like, cool. So he starts swimming across the river, and the beast shows its ugly face. And Columbia makes the sign of the cross and tells the beast, go no further, do not touch the man, go back at once. And the creature fled after that.
He didn't want to hear about his teachings.
Yeah, I guess not. So, do I believe it? No.
Okay.
And here's why. Because water beast stories are they're common in medieval times,
Mm-hmm.
and they're used to represent things. I don't know what it represents in this story exactly, but I definitely don't think that we can take this as a definitive fact
Source.
that source or
What is the
citing
source, by the way? Where did you find this information?
Life of Saint Columba by Adamnan.
A dumb nut.
Is
He
that
was in
is that a book?
567
Yeah, it's
AD?
a book.
Oh.
565.
I was close.
So
Yeah,
this
so
is
it's
like legit,
1,500 years
quote,
old.
legit history.
I don't know if I would call it
Quote.
that. But yeah, okay, yeah.
Unquote.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's what we got. Yeah. If you are Nessie fans out there and you believe that, you're free to do that. But, so, my next source. Wow, am I the only one who researched?
For Loch Ness, yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well-
so,
Unless Jasmine has anything, because I didn't get a chance to.
Okay.
I didn't really do the research that I found when I was focusing on my research. You had said we were going to be talking about plesiosaurs, and so I did research on those,
I'm so
which
sorry.
I found. Well, no, don't be sorry, because it was very interesting. Because I'm a fan of dinosaurs,
Okay.
and I
Yeah.
like Jurassic Park. It's one of my favorite movies.
All right, that's good.
And so I just thought it was very interesting. Our whole podcast idea is to be talking about cryptids and creatures that may or may not exist. But what's interesting about plesiosaurs is they existed. Like, they were a real thing. There's fossils, science, they exist.
And they might still be alive.
They might be, because they were supposed to have gone extinct how many years ago? 66 million years ago, I think.
With
is
the
what
rest
it
of the
said.
dinosaurs.
Yeah, with the rest of the dinosaurs.
But then you got things like the coelacanth still living around. I don't
Is
know
it
if-
really?
Yeah, I think I
Wild.
want to say they found one alive still, or
I do not
baby?
know what that is.
something like that. It's like a dinosaur fish basically.
Okay.
And they have them preserved. I mean, they found one that was preserved for like 100 years at the History Museum, I think. They still find them every once in a while. So that's a living fossil, because I'm pretty sure they're still kind of swimming around sometimes. So you got those guys still around. You got all kinds of other animals like, oh, I thought you went extinct, and it's still kicking.
Still kicking. Dope.
There are a lot of arguments against the possibility for Nessie being a plesiosaur. That I found.
Really?
Yes.
What
Lay
else
it
would
on
it
us.
be?
Well, they didn't really say what they thought it could be, but the information I found said plesiosaurs were probably cold-blooded reptiles needing warm tropical waters, and the average temperature of Loch Ness is only about 5.5 degrees Celsius, which is 42 in Fahrenheit. So if the plesiosaurs were warm-blooded, they would require a food supply beyond that supplied by Loch Ness. There's also statements about how the neck could not lift its head up swan-like out of the water, which I think that fact is probably referring to the photo, which we now know is fake. But that was the argument against that, saying that a plesiosaur could not lift its head like that. The loch is only about 10,000 years old, dating to the end of the last ice age. And before that, it was frozen for about 20,000 years. And one of the biggest points was they said if creatures similar to plesiosaurs lived in Loch Ness, they would have to be seen more frequently, since they would have to surface several times a day to breathe. So
Don't believe the hype. Don't believe everything you read, Jasmine.
I'm not. I'm simply relaying the information that I read.
Well, I will relay some information from my good friend Ronald Binns. He's
He's the
He's the-
leftover cousin of Ronald McDonald.
No,
Who took
no.
care of all the trash bins.
He's a real Loch Ness guy.
Oh, damn.
He's the author of The Loch Ness Mystery Solved. Sounds like he knows what he's talking about. He was also part of the Loch Ness Phenomena Investigation Bureau. So I think
That was a thing.
it's still a thing.
They checked all their facts, and it was just like a hot air balloon.
Like Roswell?
Yeah, it was just a bunch of gas. The swamp gas.
Yeah, swamp gas. So Ronald Binns claims that all sightings of the monster before 1933 are dubious at best. So he's really saying that there is no monster tradition before then. But I'm kind of with Jasmine on the fact that maybe it's not a plesiosaur. But then you ask, what else could it be?
What else could it be?
What else could it be?
Well, my favorite occultist, Alistair Crowley, used to live there for a 14-year period in the Bullskin House.
And he was a big guy. He's kind of fat. It was just him swimming in the mornings, right?
Wait, no, what? No.
Where did that statement just come from?
Because Alistair Crowley was a big fat guy.
Was he?
Towards the end, I think, yeah.
Oh, I don't
So
know.
he was just going for swims in the loch and never thought he was a monster.
Yeah. So he bought
Okay.
the house in 1899 and sold it in 1913. And he bought it because it was secluded enough for him to perform the sacred
dear.
magic of Abramelin the Mage, which is like some medieval book he was going to
It's like
perform magic.
Medieval Dungeons and Dragons.
And what he was trying to do was, I'm going to try to get through this quick because this gets weird, and we don't need to get into this on this episode. But he was trying to summon his guardian angel. And so it requires 6 months prep of celibacy and abstinence from alcohol. It also, just like as a prerequisite, he needs to summon all the 12 kings and dukes of hell to bind and remove their negative influence from the magician's life. However,
Lord.
he was called away before he was able to complete the ritual, and he never banished the demons he summoned.
Oh dear.
He
How many
also
did he
said,
summon?
I'm assuming all
It
of
was the
them.
13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo.
He said that his experiments with black magic got out of hand. And to this day, well, I don't know about to this day because it's actually burned down, but there's been like weird sightings at the Boleskine house, or Boleskine. I have no idea how to say it. There's like lots of hauntings, sightings of the devil and stuff like that. So there's definitely something weird going on there. And it's interesting to note because if we go by Ronald Bin's definition, anything before 1933 is dubious at best. Aleister Crowley left the area in 1913. That puts it as a 20-year span. Maybe it's something supernatural, interdimensional, not extraterrestrial.
So just like a Duke of Hell, like hanging out.
I have no idea.
Are we still talking about Nessie?
Apparently.
Well, apparently Nessie's not a cute plesiosaur. It's a possible like demon from hell summoned by Aleister Crowley.
Yeah, I guess so.
They have to change all their tourist information
Yeah.
now.
All the merch.
Yeah.
Oh, the merch. Not the merch.
It's a big income.
Yeah, it is. I'm sure it is. So we're going to move on.
All
we're
right,
going
bye,
to
Nessie.
fly overseas. Fly across the pond, if you will.
The lock.
No, it's more than the lock. More than the lock. We're going to talk about Champ.
Champ.
The Lake Champlain monster. Champagne?
Champagne.
Poppin'
Champlain. All right. Lake Champlain. I only have a little bit of research. I'm sure you guys can fill in the rest.
Nope.
ahead.
I know nothing about this.
All right. Well,
So, Lake Champlain. I did not know this. Apparently, it's shared by Vermont and New York, and it kind of goes into Quebec, Canada, too.
yeah, it does.
So
Yeah.
it's like a trifecta lake. Champ. Oh, actually, I don't have that much written down. Never mind.
Well, I'll pick it up from there.
Yeah,
you
pick
covered
up.
the geography, so it's like kind of in a
Trifecta.
tri-state. I would say tri-state, but Quebec's a
Canada
different
doesn't
country.
count, so it's like
Yeah,
2-state, and then Canada's kind of hanging out.
it's a dual state, dual state, dual country area.
Yeah.
That's kind of wild. Anyways, the legend of Champ goes back a little bit farther than Nessie does. It goes back to the Abenaki and the Iroquois tribes who lived in the area. And Samuel Champlain, founder of he named the lake, and he also is the founder of Quebec. And he's erroneously credited with being the first European to see Champ, but what he saw was geographically in the wrong location.
Huh.
So he was near the St. Lawrence River, which feeds into Lake Champ. And I guess that's all I wrote about it. So yeah, I guess he saw something over there, and that was it. And they're like, oh yeah, he was
hey, that European guy saw something weird.
And they're like, it was the Lake Champ monster. And then they're like, no, it wasn't, because it wasn't in Lake Champ. So.
Cool.
So are there any sightings of a monster?
I'm
actually
so
in Lake
glad
Champ?
you asked. Next famous account, Saturday, July 24th, 1819. Captain Crumb was aboard a scow on Bulwaga Bay.
He's the arch enemy of Captain Crunch.
Beat me to it. I wanted to make a Captain Crunch joke so bad, but I couldn't get it out.
I'm sorry.
Now I'm hungry.
He's the soggy guy that's
Again.
always fighting Captain Crunch.
Do you want me to buy you cereal?
Bro, I'd eat some cereal right now.
We
Crunch
only have
Oops, all berries.
almond milk. We only have almond milk. And we have Lucky Charms and Cocoa Puffs. That's it.
Captain Crunch. What about him?
Captain
Oh
Crumb.
yeah, so, no, it's Captain Crumb was aboard a scow on Bulwaga Bay.
I don't know what any of those
That's
are.
a lot to take in.
He reported, okay.
Stop!
Okay.
You need to define what you just said.
I don't know what it means.
He was on a what?
He was on a scow.
A scow?
Oh, a scow
Let's
is
define
a scow
scow.
is a wide-beamed
Oh, okay.
sailing dinghy.
A dinghy.
It's a dinghy.
So
it
Crumb
bobs
was
up and
on
down.
his dinghy,
Yes, Crumb's on his dinghy on Bulwaga Bay
Bulwaga Bay.
when he reported that he saw a black monster about 187 feet long.
So he's a racist.
Okay? Head resembling a seahorse that reared more than 15 feet out of the water. It had 3 teeth, eyes the color of a peeled onion, and a white star on its forehead, and on the belt, and it had a belt of red around its neck.
This is very descriptive.
Yeah, he was 200 yards away, so he definitely got accurate measurements.
Okay.
I don't believe him at all, but
It sounds like a 70s monster. He's got like a red belt and a star on his chest, and like onion eyes.
yeah, I
Red onion or yellow onion?
I think it was a white onion. I'm picturing a white onion to go with the white star on his
Maybe
forehead.
they were
Copy
like,
that.
Maybe they were like crunch berries because
Crunch berries?
he's Captain Crunch.
I mean, I guess.
You know what his name, Captain
When
Crumb?
did Captain Crunch when did that exist?
We don't need to go into the history of cereal here, but
Should we change the name to Cereal Campfire?
cereal campfire.
I'm sorry.
All right, everyone.
Well, there's a bunch of sightings to the 1800s, even to the 1990s, actually to the early 2000s. And that's about it for Champ. He's a popular tourist attraction. People go there to try to see him. He's
Why do
actually
you assume it's a he? I'm just
Okay.
kidding.
Okay.
I'm just
All right.
kidding.
he/she. I'm just gonna
It.
refer to it.
call him Champy, or call
Champ.
it Champy.
Champ.
Champ.
Champ. I think he's seen like 2 to 3 times a year or something.
Really?
Like that. Yeah.
And-
He's
So
on a pretty
common.
regular basis.
And what I do have written down is Port Henry in New York holds Champ Day.
What?
No way.
Yeah, it's like a day that they celebrate Champ.
Field trip.
And it's the
Yeah.
first Saturday of August.
Oh, we missed it this year.
Oh.
Next year.
Maybe
Next
next year
year.
we can. But yeah, so
Hey,
I
are you
so-
taking us to Cryptid Con?
I think it already happened.
Next year, though.
Next year, no
Since
promises.
you-
I need to call up a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, okay.
Nudge, nudge. So he's got his own holiday. I don't think the Loch Ness Monster does.
No, because
So
he's whack.
Oh, okay.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we got him a holiday, and Vermont, because Vermont's on the border as well, their minor league baseball team is the Vermont Lake Monsters, and their mascot is a plesiosaur.
Oh, nice.
Cute.
Yeah. So I want to try to get a jersey.
Oh, dope.
That sounds rad.
We should all get jerseys.
And I think that's it for Champ.
That's it for Champ. And before we move on to our final contender, because I forgot to mention this at the beginning, we're going to put all 3 of them into a single lock, and they're going to duke it out.
Yeah.
You know, lock. Nessie's going to have his
It's going to be a
Colt
lock and
Powers.
key match.
lock and key.
So we're physically gonna go get the monsters, put them in the same
Yeah.
body of water, and have them fight to the death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds a little inhumane, but
No, don't. If they do it in Pokemon, we can do it in real life.
Yeah, I mean, they got to be real for it to happen first. So.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But some honorable mentions. I don't have any background information on any of these. I just got their names. So we have Mussy, Lake Tianchi Monster, the Mokele Mbembe, Selma, as in the monster, not the place, or the movie.
Or Selma Blair.
And then, Memfrey, Tahoe Tessie,
Tahoe Tessie.
sounds like a ripoff.
right? And then we get to our final contender, Ogopogo,
Yeah.
in Okanagan Lake, British Columbia.
Yeah, it's in Canada.
Yes.
In case you're thrown off by the British. In the front
British
there.
Columbia.
I'm not good with geography, so I appreciate the background.
Yeah, okay. All right.
So,
So,
yes.
if you want to go first, go ahead.
I mean, I don't have too much other than Ogopogo dates back to the 19th century.
Okay.
He is... So, we know him as Ogopogo because it's kind of like a weird shortening of Okanagan Lake.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I don't know why we call him
P.S.
Ogopogo.
We are butchering
Yeah, we're gonna
pronunciation on this
butcher
show,
the
friends.
heck
Please,
Out of these names.
please don't come at us.
Just make
Don't
things
at me.
simpler to pronounce in the future.
Go ahead, at me. I don't care. I'm not scared.
At Jasmine May W on Twitter. That's MAE.
Yeah, I know. I had a hard time finding it. I can't put him in why. So Ogopogo, as we call him, he's also known as. This is a really hard one.
Akanaitaka?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. And that translates to either snake of the water or water demon.
I got
Cute.
Lake Demon.
Oh,
It's Salish. And Salish is spoken by the Flathead Nation in northern Montana, in case you're wondering what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one really interesting thing about Ogopogo is you have to offer him a sacrifice before you cross the lake.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
What kind of sacrifice?
Animal sacrifice.
No.
Yeah.
Like goats?
Yeah. Because
Whoa.
basically what they would do is when the settlers showed up, I think they either heard or talked to the Indians, and the Indians were like, yeah, you got to give him a sacrifice if you want to cross the lake. That's what we do. Because he's more of a spirit. And they're like, okay. So at one point some settlers were going across, and they had their horses with them, and half the horses got dragged under water.
Really?
And they couldn't find them, and so they're like, oh, we got to get out. So they finished crossing the lake, and only like a few of the horses had gone missing, and they attributed it to the sacrifice. So when other settlers came, they'd put like one horse or cow off to the side into the water and have everyone else kind of sneak by real quick, and that one would disappear.
Interesting.
That is wild.
So getting back to the idea of like the three fighting, I think Ogopogo would win because he actually eats things.
Well, maybe he doesn't eat them. Maybe he keeps them as friends.
He keeps them as pets.
Yeah.
Or he wears them as hats.
Dead pets, drowned pets. Anyways.
He turns them into donuts.
That would be funny, but inaccurate. Alright, so more background on Ogopogo. That was an insanely cool story. I did not know that was a thing. But Ogopogo is 40 to 50 feet long, and he is resembling a Basilosaurus or Mosasaurus. So that means for all you plebes at home, that means no long neck.
Plebiosaurus.
Interesting.
Also, a Mosasaurus is what they have in Jurassic World. It's the big water dinosaur that they keep in the big tank.
There you go. I did not know that.
Copyright infringement.
I'm scared. According to cryptozoologist and zoologist Carl Schuker, Ogopogo comes from the 1924 English musical song The Ogopogo, the Funny Foxtrot.
Okay.
That's what I got as the origin.
I think we should start calling cryptids after like popular songs now.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
What would you do Bigfoot after?
Sexy and I Know It. And the Chupacabra could be the Macarena.
All right, so.
Hey, Chupacabra.
That's pretty good. So, the next sighting that I have here is there's some debate as to when it took place. I have 1926 or 1946 in some instances. I'm thinking it's 1946 because it was seen from the road full of automobiles. Like 30 cars of people supposedly saw this thing. And I'm thinking in 1926 they weren't as mainstream as they were
1936?
26, I mean.
26. Oh, they're too busy doing like the Charleston and
Yeah.
like, the flappers and stuff.
Yeah. So I think like a year after World War II, everyone's going to the lake, take a chill pill, and then, oh no, it's this monster in the lake. This next one is probably my favorite, and it's like so wild. It's so wild. You guys are going to... It's the year 2000.
Sorry, I was gonna start singing "Year 3000" by the Jonas Brothers.
No.
Or like from Conan O'Brien.
3000.
Did you see it on Conan O'Brien? Towards like in the year 2000, and they'd make predictions.
No.
But then 2000 happened, and they still did it.
What? So, the year's 2000, and marathon swimmer Daryl Ellis said, as he was swimming past Rattlesnake Island, which is somewhere in the lake, Okanagan, two creatures, one being 20 to 30 feet long, and the second one being smaller, followed him for a while.
Dang.
And so, like, then they just, like, swam away.
It was the Y2K monster.
I'm not sure what it is. It was really big
Wait,
fish.
so there's two of them?
There's babies.
Little
There's
babies.
multiples.
Damn. Wait, who are we talking about? Ogopogo, right?
Yeah, we're talking.
Ogopogo getting busy.
And there's also plenty of photos of Ogopogo out on the internet. I didn't really take any time to look at them.
I'm gonna look at him now.
They're tasteful nudes.
Here's the most recent sighting, though. June 24th, 2017.
Oh.
Last
What?
year. Yeah.
Dang.
3 people heading back to Penticton Marina on a boat on the lake when they all see an object with 3 symmetrical waves coming off of it. They slowed down to take a look at it, but it was huge. It was like underneath the water, like just breaking the water.
Okay.
And you see these like, you know, how do you say it? Those like waves that it makes. You know, when on a boat you have those
Yeah.
waves trailing behind it. And so
They're cool.
this one, apparently these waves were huge. They were bigger than the waves produced by his 25-foot boat.
Okay. So he's a dentist.
I
Because he's got a big boat.
I guess I don't understand the joke.
Neither do I.
Dentists make a lot of money, so they always buy boats.
Okay, I
I think
guess.
so, yeah. Alright.
Question to pose to everyone at home. Who would win in a lake fight? Nessie with the occult powers. Ogopogo, which is not a plesiosaur.
Possible Morazosaurus.
And Champ.
So
Who-
you get... huh.
Wait. We make sacrifices to Ogopogo, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say, so you got Nessie in one corner, and we don't know what Nessie is because it could either be plesiosaur or it could be like a demon.
Mhm.
So you got Aleister Crowley in the corner with Nessie, like the coach. You got Ogopogo on the other side, and Ogopogo is known to eat a lot of meats, eating horses, cattle, so he's pretty buff. He demands sacrifices, so he's got a bit of a toot. And you got Champ, who's just kind of chilling and has his own minor Major League Baseball.
Champ's gonna lose.
Champ will probably forfeit. He'd be like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna sit this one out. You can bench me."
Champ is family friendly. I
Champ's
think,
gonna call out sick that day.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Champ's family friendly, so
So it'll just be Ogopogo or Nessie.
yeah. I'm willing to bet Ogopogo would win. I think he would win. He could just bite Nessie's neck, and that would be it.
And Nessie isn't able to lift her head up.
Oh yeah,
as the
apparently.
science
Yeah.
dictates.
If she is a plesiosaur, but she's apparently not.
Oh, unless
But
she's
who
a
knows?
demon plesiosaur.
Oh,
Yeah, what if like Aleister Crowley resurrected a dead plesiosaur?
that
So
would
it's like
Never
a
know.
zombie. That'd be pretty rad.
rad.
So that'll be the next Sci-Fi Channel movie.
God.
Ogopogo versus zombie Nessie.
Well, I think this episode has come to a close.
And
Is it real?
done.
Is it real? Is it fake? Go follow us on Twitter. I'm not gonna tell you my Twitter name.
And maybe do your own research.
Do your own research, guys. Don't believe every.
Wikipedia can be your friend.
But make sure you read Wikipedia's edit histories. 'Cause sometimes
Yeah.
people
Is
put
that
some...
a thing?
Yeah, you can read the edit histories. People put some pretty funny stuff in there.
I believe it.
I did not know that was a thing. Anyways, that's it for this week. Tune in next week where we're gonna be talking about
El Chupacabra.
Yeah, there we go. All right, cool.
The goat sucker.